Good afternoon to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our Tropical Weather Outlook video for today, Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Let's start off with the National Hurricane Center homepage this afternoon. The latest Tropical Weather Outlook from the National Hurricane Center now has our area of interest off the southeast coast at a 40% chance of development within the next week. We've been talking about for the last several days how we might need to watch the southeast coast for potential tropical development of some sort to occur as we head into the July 4th weekend, and it's looking increasingly possible that something here may try to get going. There's still lots of model uncertainty right now, but the National Hurricane Center does say environmental conditions appear only marginally conducive for some slow development, but a tropical or subtropical depression could form in this region over the weekend or early next week while the system drifts northward. So something is on the cards that we might need to watch off the southeast coast as we head into this weekend. And obviously it is very important that we watch it because it will be the July 4th weekend. There will be lots of people, I bet, traveling down south, especially to the beaches here. So this will definitely be a weather impact system that'll have a pretty significant impact of some sort. And I'll show you what the models show today in just a moment. Really quickly though, on the Eastern Pacific, we have Hurricane Flossie, which as of the latest advisory, as of 11 a.m. Eastern time, is at 110 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 967 millibars. And this did become a major hurricane yesterday and just weakened back down to a Category 2 this morning. And it's probably going to very quickly collapse as it moves into cooler waters here over the next 24 hours and will probably be a remnant system by tomorrow. So Hurricane Flossie is very quickly on its way out and will be out of our hairs, and we won't have to worry about Flossie anymore. But beyond that, as I said, the gravy train of activity in the Eastern Pacific is going to continue. The National Hurricane Center now has a 50% chance of development within the next 7 days that we might get, once again, yet another system to develop here in the Pacific. Really quickly, here's the track of Flossie, and you could see by tomorrow afternoon becomes a remnant low to the southwest of the Baja Peninsula. This is going to stay offshore, won't really bring much impacts at all to the Baja. And the tropical storm watches that we had for portions of the central Mexican coastline have also been discontinued today. So pretty much not really much to talk else when it comes to Flossie as of today. And you can see this on the satellite image. Here's a satellite image of the Pacific and the Western Atlantic right now. And just really quickly, here is Flossie, and you can see how it is slowly beginning to lose its shape, becoming less organized. It's moving over cooler waters. That'll help it to de-intensify and disintegrate, and that's probably going to happen very quickly. In fact, it is already occurring. But also very interestingly is look at how much convection we have here in the general Eastern Pacific Basin. I've seen quite a few people mention how the amount of background convection we have here in the Pacific is really very much responsive of an El Nino-like atmosphere. And that's not to say that we will have an El Nino, or we do have an El Nino right now, but it's very interesting, and it definitely indicates that atmospherically conditions are very favorable in the Eastern Pacific, and as evident by the Tropical Weather Bulletin from the National Hurricane Center, conditions are probably going to remain favorable here in the Pacific for the next few days, and we probably will see more development come out of here, and we'll obviously have to watch and see, does this impact Mexico over the next several days, but looks like activity will remain there. And then obviously we're also watching here off the southeast coast, where you could already see there's quite a bit of energy. There's a front coming off the east coast that brought some thunderstorms to the mid-Atlantic and northeast here last night, and it looks like there's still some thunderstorm activity over eastern portions of North Carolina right now, and there's also some thunderstorms over central and southern Florida and into the Bahamas. And this is generally the mess that we're going to have to watch over the next several days to see what consolidates, and if something does consolidate and become a tropical system. Here's the latest 850 millibar vorticity map, and let me just really quickly refresh it because I had this out but didn't refresh the map. And you could see the energy here associated with the cold front moving off the East Coast and quite a bit of it throughout the Southeast right now. And we're going to have to watch to see whatever energy breaks off the southern tail end of this front here. And we'll have to watch and see how it consolidates and develops. Nothing right now solid yet, though. It's just still pretty much a bunch of frontal energy right now. And by the way, here's the satellite. Here's the signature for Hurricane Flossie, and this is the classic vorticity signature that you would want to see in a bona fide tropical system. Obviously, I'm not going to say healthy because Flossie is pretty much on its way to death right now. So you can't call it a healthy system, but it is a bona fide system. It was a major hurricane, and this is the kind of vorticity signature you would want to look at in knowing whether or not a system is a bona fide tropical system. And obviously right now in the Atlantic, we don't have that just yet. But it's probably going to happen soon. Here's the latest sea surface temperature anomaly map. I showed you this yesterday, but just to really quickly refresh your memory, very, very warm sea surface temperature anomalies, especially through the Gulf, and especially here off the southeast coast, especially between the Outer Banks and Bermuda. Boy, some of these anomalies as much as 2, even 3 degrees Celsius above normal here. That's very, very warm sea surface temperature anomalies, and we'll especially have to watch this as we get towards the peak of the hurricane season and we get lots of activity here in general in the Western Atlantic. And even with this system too, certainly sea surface temperatures will not be an issue when it comes to development. Sea surface temperatures are more than favorable and warm enough for something to try to develop here, even in the northern Gulf. Sea surface temperatures won't be the issue. It's going to be a matter of where it consolidates, and of course, if atmospheric conditions will be favorable enough for something to develop and consolidate. And we're going to find out more about how things are generally, because it just came out that potentially on July 4th, kind of surprising, on the 4th, and supposedly a federal holiday, I know, the National Hurricane Center has scheduled a recon mission for this system. So we're going to potentially find out, of course, if this does consolidate and become something at all. We will find out more information about how organized is it, and also potentially the low-level environment. All very important things we'll find out. And this is going to happen on July 4th, scheduled for 18Z. The 4th, so that's Friday afternoon, which is, again, July 4th, and it is low-level INVEST mission, although this has not been yet designated an INVEST, so very interesting that they're already scheduling a recon for this. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what recon finds when it goes in. Of course, if it does go in, because I don't think it's official yet, although it is scheduled, but I'm not sure if it is official, because it does say possible. So we'll have to see yet if it is confirmed. They're going to do it for sure, but we'll probably find that out probably by tomorrow. So we'll see. Here's a quick look right now at the Eastern Pacific, and I just want to go over this quickly because I want to get to the Atlantic and show you what the models are showing with our Southeast system. But obviously, I don't want to ignore the Eastern Pacific because there are areas of interest there right now. And just really quickly taking a look at the GFS, you could obviously see over the next 24 hours how Flossie just kind of disappears and slowly just becomes nothing. Goes from a very bona fide tropical system right now, look at that signature, very, very tight, compact vorticity with very, very close and small isobars here, closed isobars, which are lines of equal pressure here. And just notice how that just goes away. And by the time we get to the end of the week, Flossie is probably just going to be a bare bone remnant low and will be of absolutely no significance at all to talk about. And then meanwhile, as we get into the weekend, you notice something else is developing here on the GFS, and that seemingly becomes a pretty bona fide hurricane. So we might get another hurricane here in the Eastern Pacific, and then, but luckily, that stays off the coast of Mexico, stays well away from the coast. And then, interestingly enough, the GFS has something else here that tries to spin up very quickly. Not sure if this is a convective bias that the GFS has, which it certainly does. But we'll see. But the Eastern Pacific is going to remain favorable, and at least over the next week, taking this out to 7 days, you could see we have a bona fide hurricane here in the Eastern Pacific. So the gravy train of activity continues for now. And now let's switch over, obviously, to the Atlantic to see what exactly happens here off the southeast coast. And you can see how it is a very messy situation. We have our frontal system, which moves off, and then eventually we have, obviously, energy from the tail southern end of the front that gets left behind. And seemingly on the 12Z GFS, it remains as very broad vorticity over Florida. So that would probably just be a bunch of thunderstorms and heavy rain, probably like what we have right now. And this definitely wouldn't really be that favorable for development. And as you can see, as we take it out here on the entire GFS, and then eventually the energy here kind of moves off the coast, but is unable to fully develop, and then eventually just gets caught up in whatever frontal system still remains. And then we're here at 7 days, and nothing of any sort of significance develops on the GFS. What about the Euro? For now, just really quickly taking a look at it, kind of shows the same thing. They do show a little bit of consolidation here, some sort of broad low pressure that does try to develop, but ultimately ends up moving inland, or it stays, or no, it does pretty much move inland over the southeast. And then another very interesting feature that the Euro has been doing is trying to spin up another area of low pressure south of Bermuda, well east of the Bahamas, completely separate from this system here. And a few runs ago, the European actually had this consolidating pretty much and trying to develop seemingly, but at least on the latest 60 run of the Euro, kind of just remains as a trough and not something that actually tries to close off. The GFS doesn't have it though, so we'll see exactly what happens. And really quickly, just showing you here with the latest Euro ensembles, the 0Z ensemble package, the 12Z has not come out yet, at least as I'm recording this. But as you can see here, lots of activity off the southeast coast. And this is actually important since there was a lot of uncertainty a few days ago about whether or not we would see something consolidate in the northern Gulf or off the southeast coast. So in general, it was kind of a general shading of generally around the southeast, including the Gulf and off the Florida and Carolinas coast. But it seems like, especially over the last day or so, the models, especially the Euro ensemble, very certain that if something does consolidate, it will be off the southeast coast. So it seems like we're getting a little bit more of a consensus on what exactly is going to happen. But lots of uncertainty right now. I mean, these frontal systems with low pressures that try to consolidate, they could be very messy and very hard to predict. So it's just a matter of watching and seeing over the next few days to see exactly what happens. But obviously, keep a watch to the tropics. It is hurricane season after all, especially that this will be going into the July 4th weekend. And of course, that is a very busy travel time, especially I'd imagine lots of people traveling to the south to take advantage of the beaches. And especially, I know a lot of people are probably going to Florida. So you'll definitely want to keep in mind, because this will obviously have an impact on the whether or not it does actually develop. Even if it doesn't, it'll probably be a rain system and bring a bunch of thunderstorms and gusty winds, and that'll obviously be a nuisance in and of itself. So we'll have to watch either way. But for now, not much else to talk about in the tropics, so I'm going to end off today's video right here. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you like what you saw today, as always, I encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with family and friends, and turn on the notification bell when you subscribe if you are not subscribed yet, which I really hope you do, so you can get videos the moment I upload them. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back here with more tomorrow.